Beyond. I'm your
Yeah,
host,
thanks.
Alan,
I'm Rahana Power,
and
and we
yeah,
have Sam Wren Vincent here with us today.
Hey
Hi,
guys,
Sam.
hey,
so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
yeah,
Absolutely. We are excited to have you on. Been looking forward to chatting.
Yes.
Lots to dive into. Really excited about it. So we should just kick it off. And before we jump into the film world of it all, could you tell us something fun and interesting about yourself?
Yeah. Well, okay. I thought of two things. So my typical icebreaker answer to that
Mhm.
question is that I have mastered the moonwalk. And that's it's always like my party trick. Like I'm really like some
Yes.
people think they can do the moonwalk, but like I can actually do it really well. And people are like, whoa, it looks like you're floating. So
I
I've
love
been
that.
working on it since I was like a child. Um, so that's my
That's
weird and
awesome.
interesting thing.
I like
But
it.
I guess something else like more like intriguing or kind of unique about I guess it sort of ties into my film world, but I became a mom through adoption in 2016 to my biological niece, and she has cerebral palsy. And entering into the world of disability really just opened my eyes to how important story is to
Mhm.
hmm,
advocating and creating change. And so that was a big reason why I came back to my art. So it's like
Mhm.
so adjacent, but that's just like really central to why I'm doing this thing. And yeah,
Absolutely. How old is she?
she just turned 9.
Oh,
It's
wow.
so big now.
That's
I
no
mean, I
kidding.
feel like with the pandemic and everything that happened, time just like moves.
Go, go,
It's
go, go,
in
go.
such a strange way because she
Yeah.
was barely 4 when the shutdown happened. And
Hmm.
she's so tall. She's like 53 inches tall, which is like almost
Yeah.
as tall as me because I'm a 30. So I just like, I'm like, wow, who is this like large child now that's in
Yep.
my world that I used to like just like, have up under my arm all the time. So yeah, she just celebrated her birthday in March. And which is actually why we went to California. We were talking before we started recording.
Oh,
So
yeah.
to celebrate. Yeah. Mhm.
Oh,
wow,
that's so exciting.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
happy late birthday to her.
Yes. Yes.
yeah,
Happy
Yeah.
birthday.
Yeah.
formative year for sure, formative years, and then
Yes. Yeah. Her last single digit birthday, which,
yeah,
Yeah.
right,
wow,
yeah,
it just goes by so fast.
oh,
Does she
Yeah.
is
yeah,
she really interested in the fact that you do this, that you're an actress, and like, is she kind of drawn to it because of that too? A little bit?
Yes, she has always been really, really compelled by story. And
Hmm.
I think that, I mean, our world is going through a lot again, but
Yeah.
in 2016, along with my world being completely changed by
Yeah.
becoming a mom, there was a lot going on in the world, a lot of, just like division and
Hmm.
continue to be that way. But what I found is that if I wanted to, help somebody see somebody else's perspective, just like talking at them really wasn't effective.
Hmm.
But the people that I would see change, the way that I was changed is by experiencing the story.
Yeah.
And whether that's through like an audiobook or a film. And so we would just listen to these audiobooks that she really connected with early on. And they gave her such a, um, just like a sense of like courage and hope. And I was moved by that and realized, wow,
Yeah.
like I need that for myself too. And
Hmm.
I just got back into acting as like a hobby, basically, back then, just to kind of have a place to, you know, put these empathetic experiences to process. And I think, kind of like demonstrate having like a healthy emotional life for my daughter too. But
Yeah.
yes, she's a writer, and I mean, she's a fantastic actress. Like she'll like pull these bits all the time at home, and she can just like transform into her friends. And she's nonverbal, and so
Hmm.
she just is listening and taking everything in all the time. She's
Yeah.
absolutely brilliant. She has like an 11th grade reading level. She's just like
Wow.
off the charts, so smart. And it really
Wow.
comes out in her creativity. And I mean, I think she could do anything,
Yeah.
that she puts her mind to. But she has expressed like interest in acting, and it's really sweet to have a little cheerleader there for you. Yeah, I want to be able to support her stories, and
Hmm.
the stories of the disabled community is like so underrepresented, and
Yeah.
that's a big reason why I came back into this like more than just a hobby now. I would
Hmm.
like to eventually like help facilitate those types of stories, and possibly like write and direct. And I think that down the road she would definitely be a big part of that, because she's so creative and brilliant.
I love that.
Yeah.
So that's how she's getting into film and
Yeah.
writing and acting and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Um, can you tell us a little bit how you originally got into it? Hey everyone, we've got 20 plus episodes up for you now on our Patreon with lots of fun chats, some really great guests.
Yeah, and join for free and get extra episodes for as little as $5 a month. You can join in the link in the show notes. Check us out at patreon.com/film and beyond. Dance
Yeah.
moves, right? You moonwalked in and then
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
moonwalked in.
exactly. And somebody was like,
Yeah.
we have to have this in our movie.
We have to have this in. Yes, no, that would be awesome. I'd love to moonwalk in a film. But yeah, I would say it started really, really early for me. I think that film and just anything that I could kind of like ingest visually really felt like such an escape for me. And especially like I feel like cartoons get a bad rap, but
Yeah.
they were really important to me as a child. And
Hmm.
I spent a lot of time watching, animated films and TV shows. And then I found out that there was like real actors kind of
Hmm.
later. And the first time that I like really remember like seeing like a person on screen, I feel like couldn't talk yet. I was like pretty young. And I was at daycare and I saw it was like a Mary Poppins was playing,
Yeah.
and Bert, I think is his name. He's like
Yep.
got like his like one man band instrument, and he's like
Yes.
walking around. And I just had like this deep desire. I was like, whatever that is,
Hmm.
I want to do that. And I would then like gather my friends in the backyard, and we would put on these little productions, and usually it was me just like forcing everybody to do it whether they
Yep.
wanted to or not. But I think that was really like my like kind of foray into seeing it as something that I could participate in.
Hmm.
And then as I got older, I realized that you could actually like audition for things, and that there were child actors. So I
Hmm.
don't know how I became aware of this, but I discovered the classified section in the Star Tribune, like when
Yep.
I was probably like 8. And
Yeah.
I would like out my little auditions, and I would like bring them to my parents and be like, can we
Wow.
go? And
Go 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 go
That's
go go
they're
go
like,
amazing.
go go go
what?
go.
I mean, sure, like something to like keep you busy with.
Yeah.
And so
Hmm.
that's kind of how I got like into, doing some like community theater, and then eventually
Hmm.
whatever was available to me with school and
Yep.
church, that was a really big way for me to participate. And
Hmm.
then yeah, so that's kind of the way I could keep going on and on, but I feel like the
Right, for
answer is
sure.
getting really long.
No,
Yeah.
no, for sure. That's amazing. So you did primarily theater then, like
Mhm.
as a kid growing up, which absolutely makes sense. Was there like any specific show that you were ever in that you were like it happened and you were like, this is like I've made it. Like as a kid where you're just like, I can't believe I get to be in this exciting
Yeah.
thing.
I mean, honestly, as a child, like any opportunity that I had to
Yeah.
perform, like I could be like standing in line at like the grocery store, and like if people were gonna give me some attention to like perform, like it felt huge and
Yeah.
important and big. But I would say like the first like moment on stage that I can really like recall as like being like wow, this space feels so safe. And this feels like exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Mhm.
I was in a production at Southview Middle School in Edina, and it was called Puss in Boots. I was
Yeah.
playing this like Southern Belle character,
Mm.
and I think that the jokes in the production were like kind of like going over our heads. So like in
Yeah.
rehearsal, like nobody was laughing.
Right.
And I said this line and like just like this roar of laughter, and I was like, okay,
Yep.
this is where I want to be forever. And I found that on stage, like I actually have never like public speaking. I felt like
Yeah.
really like kind of embarrassed.
Mm.
But as a character, you feel safe
Hmm.
and kind of hidden. Like nobody's
Mm.
looking at you, they're just seeing the character.
Yeah.
And I remember just feeling like I'm kind of the safest I've ever felt is being on stage in front of all these people because they're
Yeah.
looking at this character, they're not looking at me. Yeah, that
Yes.
was pretty definitive.
Wow.
I love
I like
that.
that. Yeah, yeah. And that was theater, is that right?
Mhm.
Yeah, that was theater.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, how old were you at the time? Eight? Well, what are you? Eight? I don't know.
Oh, that I think I was 13.
Okay.
Yeah,
I suppose, yeah,
that
you said middle school,
yeah,
yeah.
Middle
yeah,
school. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, maybe 14.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when I mean, I remember I would do any chance I got to be on like stage doing some
Yep.
sort of character. I did. I sang Somewhere Over the Rainbow for the second grade talent show,
Oh.
and I felt like I was Dorothy. I was like, this is it. Like, it
Oh,
doesn't get
Yep.
any better.
did you watch the movie before you performed it, or?
Oh, absolutely. I
Okay.
mean, that
Okay.
that that film was really important
So
to
you had
me.
something to base
Yeah.
it on to
Yes,
lift
yeah,
your
uh-huh.
performance with. You had research
Yes.
essentially, so
Yes, yes. Oh, always,
Yes.
always. Yes, yeah.
nice.
I mean, I feel like I could say I have like a doctorate in like that type of like entertainment, just like the sheer amount of time that I had spent even up until that point, just like
Hmm.
in front of the television,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
watching
Yep.
these stories. Like that was, I just felt like if I could just get in there,
Yeah.
like
Yes.
that's where I'm supposed to be, is where, and I think that's why I really liked the whole like Somewhere Over the Rainbow, kind of concept.
To
Yeah.
that
That
point,
like
what decade were you living in? Was it 90s, 2000s, or what?
that was like late 90s.
Late 90s.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Yeah,
we're talking
yeah.
like maybe VHS, DVD era kind of thing,
Oh
and
yeah. Oh well, we had it
Oh,
on VHS. We had a
yeah.
recorded version from, yeah, and it was recorded during there was
oh
like
yeah,
some yeah,
Hmm.
there was some like storm that was happening, like literally while they were playing The Wizard of
It's
Oz. So
yeah.
like,
like
Oh, I had the weather
during the
thing.
like Twister scene, it's like saying like the
yeah,
weather ticker
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Kind of ironic.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
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 It was
Oh,
so weird recording like I used to like record Nick at Night. I don't know why. It's just
Yes. Yes.
like I Love Lucy or whatever they had, you know. It
Oh,
was like
absolutely.
use the EP setting so you can like record as much hours as you can.
yes.
Oh
And
So
man,
yeah.
good.
Nick at Night. Oh man. I got really obsessed with Gilligan's Island for some reason. So
Hmm.
much
Yeah.
so
Uh-huh.
that I made my soccer coach call me Gilligan. Like,
Really?
yeah.
Were they like,
Then I
but why? Or did they kind of just be like, yeah, sure,
I just think they must
nickname?
have thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah. And then yeah, my dad had a friend who was like a little bit larger, and then I would call him the skipper, but he kind of liked it. So,
Mhm.
but
So funny.
Yeah, I also remember like recording things like even like late night shows or like Conan O'Brien or something or David Letterman with
yeah.
people on it. And then I hear like John Mulaney's show on Netflix now. He's telling Conan that he used to run home to watch his show or something when it first came
Oh
on and
wow. Yeah.
all their comedy sketches and
Well,
things. So,
so one of my first words my parents say is that it was here's Jaja, because like my parents
Oh,
would watch Johnny Carson.
yes.
oh,
And
okay.
then my other word was name because my parents would watch the Cheers reruns all the
Yep.
time.
All
And
right.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I would say it was
Oh,
yeah,
so funny.
yep.
I
Wow.
love that.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Um, okay, so can you talk or tell us like at what point you're in middle school, you're doing plays, high school, I'm assuming doing plays, whatever you're able to. When did you, I mean, not only have the chance to do a film and how did that come about, but like when did you even decide like, hey, this is something that I want to do? Or did it just kind of happen without even thinking about it?
Yeah, well, the first like real big opportunity that I got, like I said, I would scour the classified ads for
Yeah.
auditions, and you know, every once in a while there would be like some like little short film or something. But the thing is like my parents weren't going to take me to those types of auditions because like who are these people? Like we don't know them.
Right.
Like totally
Yeah.
understandable.
Yeah.
Finally, there was a breakdown that was sent out by shout out Lynn Blumenthal. Um, and it was for a casting call for Sky High, this like
Okay.
Disney film that
Huh.
Hmm.
came out in like I don't know 2003. But
Hmm.
so you had to like write a letter to like even get
Yeah.
considered. And so
Yeah.
like the other thing about my story, which I can share more on too, is that I have terrible dyslexia, like really, really
Hmm.
struggled in school.
Oh.
And theater was a really big place for me to feel successful because all I had to do was listen and then I could memorize things
Yeah.
and then regurgitate it versus like having to like really read it.
Mm.
Yep.
So
Hmm.
being the poor reader that I was, I thought it was called ski high. So I like wrote this thing about how I've been like skiing my whole life and like I was like perfect for this. And they must have thought that was funny because then they called me in for it. And I, went through several rounds of auditions and,
Yeah.
clearly I didn't get the role, but I got far enough along where I felt like that was a moment where I said, okay, well, maybe this is like something that I should consider as like a long-term possibility for me to like
Hmm.
have, you know, Disney execs like taking a look at your work when it's like in a world where like it's not social media, there isn't really any
Yeah.
way that you're like being found unless like you kind of get these like, you know, random opportunities. And so
Yeah.
that was a big moment for me where I said, okay, well maybe I'm gonna try to go for that. And
Hmm.
then at that point, I just continued to do a lot of theater work. And that was really great just to like have that opportunity to work with people and grow as an actor, learn about yourself
Yeah.
as an actor. But yeah, that was probably like my first like connection to film. And then
Hmm.
before that, my aunt actually went to MCAD and she did
Cool.
a film, and I was one of the leads in that when I was like 10.
Hmm.
Then it took like 12 years for her to edit it and to release it. So like, by the
That
time
happens.
we went to the premiere of like 22 years old, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, like you're a full
Oh my
adult
God.
now."
Yeah. What? Wait, what?
Like
Which
that'll
one was
happen. Yep.
this?
Yeah, it's called Family Gathering,
Okay.
and yeah, so I played a little girl named Samantha, and my
Oh.
role was that like I was basically like seeing things that like other people weren't because I had my video camera and I was doing a vlog basically of
Hmm.
this family gathering because we were celebrating like the memorial of important family member who had passed away. And so then I got to work with, but I was the only child on the shoot, so I just got to work with a lot of adults. And I mean, that wasn't too far off from my regular
Yeah.
childhood experience, but yeah, that was my first film role, unpaid,
That's
but
fun.
Yeah.
got to
That's
work
okay.
the whole summer with all these adults. It was cool. Yeah.
And I mean, it's got to be kind of fun, like tw 12 years later, like as an adult, like actually getting to watch that, but being so like so far away from it at that point that you're able to just kind of really embrace and enjoy like what you did in your youth on screen
Yeah,
like that.
it was fun to see. And I mean, and by the time I had seen it, I had really basically just completely stepped away from acting. So
Yeah.
it was yeah, neat to see that, kind of resurgence. And, you know, I think that when you're so close to the work that you're doing, it's easy to be so critical
Hmm.
versus like just
Yeah.
seeing how like this other version of yourself that kind of you no longer are.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of special and odd to see yourself like that
Hmm.
young in
Yeah.
such like
Yes.
a time capsule way.
Yes. Yes, I was gonna say that. That
But
was right in there.
yeah, yeah,
Time capsule
yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. Much higher voice. I remember one like the big things was that like there's the sound on my microphone got totally messed up. And
Oh
so
no.
that's basically why it took 12 years. Like they were scrubbing the sound for all that
Oh, wow.
time trying to
Yeah.
like fix things. And
Yep.
I
Hmm.
mean, it's definitely like a testament to their perseverance that they didn't just like give up on it.
Right.
And yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
that was a film where they had one of the significant characters actually like passed away during production too. And so then that was
Oh,
like a really, big reason why they didn't want to do the reshoots. They wanted to
yeah,
keep them in the film.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah,
for sure.
yeah,
Huh.
yeah,
Oh,
Wow. Yeah, I know about sound. My first feature sound had to be cleaned. And of course, once I'm done doing all that and released
yeah,
it, then the technology comes out. Oh, now you don't have to do all that work. We do it for you now. It's like, oh
yeah, I
my
know. Like
God.
if only that existed.
Yeah, I know, right?
And
It's just like literally like 2 years later, or 3 years later, it was like, now we can make it easier for you when you edit. It's
oh my
like,
word. I know it's
great.
incredible just the technology that's come out that like makes
Yeah.
it, kind of feasible to
It's
make
based on the
independent
same
films.
problem though. Like
Yeah.
like that happens, yeah. So
yeah.
they obviously were aware of it and were like, "Oh, I guess we could improve on this if we wanted to."
Yeah. Yes. Which like that, I'm totally fine with AI doing like those like
Yes.
kind of like
Yeah.
menial tasks.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
sure.
That.
Like,
Speed up editing,
but
help us make the film faster in that
speed up
sense. Yeah.
editing, that's a great idea.
Yes.
Yeah,
But please
right.
don't write the stories. Please
No.
do not act. We
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
Jeez.
We got that.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah.
So you stepped away from acting there. That's interesting. Like, tell us about that. Like, so you see this family gathering movie, and
Yeah.
then what? Like, what then? Or even before then, maybe
Well,
slightly.
yeah, it was before then. I think especially growing up in the Midwest, there's just not a lot of examples of, you know, creatives successfully working in the arts. It's kind of
Yeah.
like few and far between. And, maybe that's just my upbringing. But I think that I kind of got convinced that my pursuits as an actor, and at that point I was just seeing myself as like that's the only role that I could see myself filming. I didn't see myself as a director. I didn't see myself as a
Hmm.
writer. I think just because there weren't a lot of examples of female writers and directors for me to look
Yeah.
to, even though like that's kind of like the role I would assume in a lot of places where like I would help lead like, set design. It's like and just like kind of throw myself into it and
Yeah.
support, things from like a directorial perspective just kind of naturally.
Hmm.
But I think that because I just saw myself, and not that there's anything wrong about just being an actor,
Yeah.
because I think it's really worthwhile. But I think I began to see it as kind of a vain pursuit, and that there wasn't a way for me to like really make a difference in the world just as an actor.
Hmm.
And so then I, went overseas. I worked in some orphanages in India, did like some water projects over there, and felt like, okay, well, I want to do something that's going to, support and uplift the people around me, not just kind of like
Hmm.
support and uplift myself. And what was interesting is that, again, like story would always come up. I'd hear the kids
Yeah.
like telling each other stories and, you know, films are really important for helping people to see like there's something else out there. They can keep going.
Hmm.
It's a way that people are able to continue to like have the strength to go on. And I would always notice that wherever I was, like how film could like enter into a place that seems like so far removed and
Hmm.
be so meaningful and impactful. So it was always in the back of my mind. But then I went to, college for intercultural studies and children and family therapy. I worked in special education for a while. I became a yoga studio GM for a few years. And in the midst of all that, that's when we adopted our daughter.
Hmm.
And I began to like really feel like I needed to take a step back and say, okay, well, what does it really mean for me to make a difference in the lives
Hmm.
around me? And that was, calling up, shout out Michelle Hutchinson, just saying, hey, do you have any acting classes going on? Because I feel like I
Hmm.
need to reinvest in this.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
What,
Yeah.
when was that? I'm curious how long this
Oh,
whole
yeah.
journey was for
Yeah.
you.
I mean, so it feels short and long at the same time. So
Yeah.
the New Year's of 2018, my husband and I said, okay, we're gonna go for 100 rejection letters. We're just gonna like, go for things that we've never done before, always wish that we had.
Hmm.
And for me, I had, taken a couple of classes with Michelle that year, but I felt like, okay, I want to push myself to, take the next step. And what does that look like? So, Dan, my husband, he looked up just comprehensive acting programs online and found one with a really high rate of rejection. And was like, let's go for this one. So I auditioned for a program at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, like fully expecting like this is gonna be my first rejection letter. Like, get
Yeah.
that one and
But
done.
like the
Um,
rejection, you're like actually
Yeah.
pursuit is that, but the goal might be
yes,
something else.
because
But
then
yeah.
Yeah.
then if you're expecting that you're gonna get a no, then you're just like, okay, like let's just go for it. Let's
Yeah.
not be
Yeah.
afraid. Like,
Oh, I like that.
and
Huh.
Um, so I did get in, and then we had to say, okay,
Very
well,
exciting.
what can we actually do? Because we live in Minnesota and this is in Los Angeles.
Yep.
Huh.
And so I ended up going out there for a summer program of 2019. And that was pretty definitive for me to just see that, okay, yep, this is acting is a muscle and you have to get back into it and it takes time, but like the seeds were there and I felt like I was kind of like, bringing like the oil cans like to my
Yep.
rusty joints. And I connected with a lot of people out there. And one of my professors in particular pulled me aside and said, like, okay, well, like, what's happening, to you after this? Like,
Hmm.
and I told him I'm just going back to Minnesota. I don't know.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I really want to support you. And I want to see that this continues for you. Would you be interested in working for me? And so I ended up, he
Wow.
ran and still runs an actor's studio type of um, space in
Hmm.
addition to being an instructor at ADA. And so I worked for him remotely all through the pandemic, which like it's crazy that I ended up having a remote job before that was even really like a thing and then
Yeah.
everything shut down. So
Right.
that was a really great way for me to just like stay connected to the work and be in classes and support his studio. And then during that time is when I started to develop monologues and kind of create material so I could have
Hmm.
something to audition with. Because at that point, I just didn't have representation. I
Yeah.
didn't know, like, how do I even get in front of people? Like, where are the
Yep.
projects? Like, where are the breakdowns? And I, you know, became aware of backstage and actors access and realized like, okay, I really need some materials that I can show to represent what I do. when
Hmm.
submitting. And so that's basically what I spent my time working on during the pandemic, was just like creating my own materials so
Hmm.
that I could have something to showcase. And then it wasn't really until 2021 that I officially started auditioning again.
Yeah.
So it feels like still kind of new, but like here we are in 2025. So I feel
Yeah.
like
Right.
I'm graduating now. It's been 4 years. So
Yep.
um,
Yes.
yeah, so it feels like this like lifelong journey at the same time as kind
Hmm.
of being new again to, start things during the pandemic, which like some people, you know, would say that things got really hard for actors during the pandemic. I feel like I wouldn't have had the opportunities that I've had if it hadn't been for all the shutdowns and the way that things shifted to more online, where I was
Hmm.
able to
Kind
audition
of
for
level
things
the
that,
playing field, so to speak.
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. And so I don't need to live out in New York or LA and
Hmm.
still get an opportunity to be seen by people who typically wouldn't have been able
Yeah.
to really do in the past.
I have a
And really like
question.
gave you
Oh yeah, go ahead.
time to like get all that prep done and feel ready and like get yourself really set too, which that in
Yes.
itself, like outside of the pandemic, can feel like, oh my gosh, there's so much to do on top of everything else. And I just don't like, you don't necessarily feel like you have the time to focus in on it so much. So that's kind of
So
perfect
true.
timing to have been able to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I felt like I kind of enjoyed the shutdowns as like, okay, this is like
Yeah.
my incubator period. And like
Yeah.
when everything happened, I was like, okay, I feel like now like the race has kind of stopped and like we all get to like get to the starting line together.
Hmm.
And for somebody who felt like, I mean, I felt like I needed to catch up. And I think that that's something that, I've kind of struggled with a lot in my life, is feeling like, I don't know why, like like when I was in third grade, I was like, well, I'm not a professional actor yet. So I'm just like a
Yep.
has-been. I'm just a washed up has-been. Like we
Hmm.
went and saw School of Rock. And
Hmm.
everybody in my class knew that like I wanted to be an actor. They're like, oh, these kids are in this movie. Why aren't you in this movie? And I was like,
Oh,
well, there's never going to be another kids movie ever again, and I'm never going to get the
yep.
chance. So
Missed
I
the one
felt like
opportunity.
it's just so funny that we put these types of like limits or that
Yeah.
sense on ourselves, and so I think that yeah, I think that I wouldn't want to like view it in that way now, but I think at the
Hmm.
time of the pandemic, I felt like okay, like to what you're saying, leveling the playing field. It felt like, okay, at least like I can kind of catch up to like whatever everybody else is all like trying to figure out these ring lights and how to submit a self tape all the time.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
And
Yeah.
at the beginning, man, I would just be like, now I kind of have it down to a system, but I would just be like sweating, like trying to get up all my stuff and have all of these different lights. And now I have like much more simplified kind of setup. Like you don't need five lights. You don't need like a big, huge like background. You can just like put something that's blank behind you. If you've got good lighting, all they want to see is your eyes. Like it doesn't have to be anything
Yeah.
super fancy, but I
Hmm.
think that we were all just
Hmm.
trying to figure out, the best way to, you know, stand out in auditions. And I mean,
Yeah.
having a professional setup really does make a difference. And
Right.
yeah,
Are you, two questions. One, are are you did you ever make who did you ever make it to 100 rejection letters or not? First off.
I feel like I've probably surpassed it. I mean, with all of the auditions, I feel
Yeah,
like
Right.
yeah,
I
yeah.
just, you just like lose track. And,
Yeah.
I used to like really like think about an audition like, oh, afterwards. But
Yeah.
now I think that what I've had to kind of train myself to do is just do it the way that I'm going to do it. I'm not going to think about
Hmm.
what they're looking for, what they expect. And then once I do my work,
Hmm.
it's there. They know what I do. If they like it, they will call me back. If they don't, it doesn't mean that I'm not a good actor. I think that so
Hmm.
many actors feel like, oh, if I didn't get the role, it's because I suck, or like I'm, and everybody gives a bad performance.
Yeah.
Sometimes that just happens. Sometimes you just have a bad day.
Hmm.
Um, but I think that so much more goes into the casting process that we don't see that you have to just do the audition and then just like don't ever think about it. So that when you do get a call back, you're like, wait, what is this for? You don't even remember. And then
Yes.
so it's not just like hanging over you all the time. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, probably millions of rejection letters have come my way.
But that's a funny thing to think about. Like, I want 100 rejections. Like, that's kind
Yeah.
of
Yes,
that's a good twist
I
to it.
love
at
It's
least
that.
like,
Yeah.
at
yeah,
least you're going for it. Yes.
right.
Right.
Yeah,
So you get
absolutely.
the
Yeah.
rejection, you're like, sweet, now I'm on to two. Like it's
Boom. Yes.
like
Yes.
I hit a goal today. Like,
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I think that's like, I want to always keep that as like my kind of like modus operandi where I'm not going to be afraid to, go for something because I might not get it because then
yeah,
you'll never, try for anything. And I think
right.
that
Mm,
that's so
hmm.
essential for just acting in general. If you feel that, sense of that fear of doing it the right way is always going to hinder your performance. You have to let that go. And I mean, that's a
Mhm.
constant battle. But when you find those times where you can really let it go, I feel like that's where you get to the truth and you're able to
Yeah.
show something that's real.
It's funny, I saw a clip just the other day of John Krasinski doing like an interview on like a talk show or something.
Yeah.
And I can't remember who he's talking about. I want to say Bryan Cranston. It may not be that him. Somebody though, he was talking about someone how when he was first like auditioning and just trying out for literally everything and just not getting a single thing. And he was talking to this other actor who was prominent at the time, or at the time, just was. And telling him about this, and he said, this actor that I can't remember, said his trick was he realized that like auditions are like acting is not getting a job in acting. Acting is auditioning. He's like,
Yes.
but also auditions are shit. Like no one's going to be able to see the vast amount that you can do with this
Mm,
30 seconds. So instead of trying to impress everyone and nail this and do and like he's like, I just
yes.
put on a little play for myself because that's what I want my job to be, is to be able
Right.
to like do a good little performance, and I want to do that performance for myself. He's like, so I put on a little play for myself, and if they like it, that's great. If they don't, that's great. I enjoyed it, and then move on.
Exactly.
And he was like, as soon as I like changed to that mindset, he started getting everything. And I was
Yeah.
like, I
That's
love
so
that.
good.
Yeah. Like just
Yes.
do it
I
for
love that
yourself.
too. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not doing it for yourself, you really can't do it for anyone.
Right.
Yeah,
Why would anyone else like it if you don't? Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, and the camera sees
Mm.
everything. It's
Yes.
and say if you are enjoying yourself, whether or not it's like whatever kind of scene you're,
Yeah.
working through, that's gonna shine through. And I
Exactly.
love that. And it's definitely like, a hard pill to swallow sometimes because you get something, you're like, oh
Yeah.
man, this is just like, oh, I can't like imagine
Yes.
anybody else playing this. Like this would just be so great. And I think those times are the best times to just try to just like let it go.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's funny because I had like a string of like bad experiences in
Mhm.
independent film,
Mm-hmm.
and it almost made me like kind of rethink this whole thing, whether or not I could even work with independent film anymore. Should I even
Yeah.
do this? Because
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if I've
I think I
said
recall
this.
seeing something about that
Yeah.
from you. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because I mean, so my first three films that I booked all got shut down because
Mm.
of various different, abuses on set.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that was really difficult. And the last one was targeted towards me. And that was,
Mm.
I had taken my family across the country.
Yeah.
It was a pretty traumatic experience. And so I walked away from that saying, okay, this is like 2000 or 2022. Yeah, winter of 2022. And I said, okay, well, maybe this is just going to either take a lot longer and I'm going to have to be a lot
Mm.
more careful. And maybe I just need to take a big break. My experience was so bad. Like I had developed like an eye twitch. Like I
Oh
was just
no.
like having like this just awful anxiety. And
Yeah.
there was one night that I had watched the Emmys, and I just like was laying on my couch, and I was like, okay, universe, like if I'm supposed to do this, just like let the next thing that I'm supposed to do have the director see my reel and reach out to me. Like if I'm supposed to do
Hmm.
this. And this is like one of those things where I feel like people are like, this didn't really happen. But it truly did. That morning I woke up to a message from Jeremy Brown, who's the director of Solitude. And he said, hey, I just came across your reel. We are recasting this film that we had started pre-pandemic, and now we're moving it to Minnesota. I'm looking for local actors. I really like your work. Would you be interested in just reading the script?
Wow.
And,
Yeah.
so at first I was like, I mean, sometimes you get a message like that and you're like, what is this? Like, is this
Yeah.
even real?
You do
Like
have
this,
to be careful, yeah.
oh yes. And
Yeah.
so and my guard was already like really on high alert. But because I
Right.
had
Yeah.
kind of like asked like the universe to direct me in that way, I was a little bit more like open. And
Hmm.
I read, the first iteration of the script, and I felt like, wow, this is a character that's really dynamic, and I feel like she, you know, will be able to showcase a lot of like what I want to do. And um, yeah, and it just seemed like a fun thriller that I hadn't done before, because I had done a lot of like more just kind of like slice of life type
Yeah.
of work. And um, yeah, so I said, this looks great. I mean, thank you so much for thinking of me. And he said, okay, like pick a couple sections of the script and submit a self-tape. And so it's not in the film, but there is like a big monologue that she does that we decided was like far too expositional to be included.
Hmm.
But did that, and then just the next day they offered me the role. So that was like one of those times where I felt like, okay, things the right things are going to come along, and you do just need to be patient. I think as an actor
Hmm.
too, it's always like you get one job, the job is finished, and you're like, even when you just get a job, you're like, okay, but like what's the next thing? And you're
Yes.
always like perpetually unemployed.
Hmm.
Like you see like the end date of the call sheets, and you're like, okay, well then like what's after that? And
Yep.
you can't really think in those terms, because you don't know what's going to come, and you don't
Yeah.
know how people are going to come across your work. But I
Hmm.
really believe that there are certain projects that you're supposed to be on. It's important to kind of keep yourself open to that, and
Yeah.
not think that like one specific role is going to be the thing that like you absolutely need to do. Because
Hmm.
if you do it, who knows? Like maybe nobody sees it, and maybe like everyone sees it. Who knows? But
Mm.
the point of it is that you got a chance to do the real work. And
Yeah.
if that in and of itself is valuable enough for you, to participate, then, move forward with it. And yeah, so I mean, here we are.
Right. Is that
That's
like your
Yeah.
amazing.
biggest role to date, or
Um,
would you
well,
say?
I mean, I guess like in the things that like ended up getting actually finished.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like
Rohana can
there's,
speak to that.
Yeah, I
oh yeah.
understand. Like
Yeah.
being part of something and you're just like, this is great and feeling amazing. And then you're like, it doesn't exist, even though it,
Yeah.
yeah,
The
Yeah, it
like it's
experience
doesn't.
happened.
unfortunate.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And I would never like, I mean, obviously, like I would change how those like turned out, but the experience of itself, like being
Yes.
on those sets, the people that I connected with, the friends that I made, the other actors that I connected with. I mean, they're kind of like, I feel like they're my actor siblings. Like we're always
Yeah.
connected.
Hmm.
When you go through something that's really traumatic, it makes you
Hmm.
close.
Oh,
And so I feel like you get to have those people who like, yeah, sure, they might be across the nation in
Yeah.
different places and around the world now, but they're your people, and it's so important to have that and
Hmm.
cheer each
yeah.
other on when you see each other succeed. And
Yeah. Well,
so
and
yeah.
having like those projects that don't end up actually getting made and being complete. I mean, as an actor, like for us, I mean, that's is equal as, going to class and practicing on
Mm,
our own. And I mean, you're still getting the experience, you're still doing the work and growing. And like after
yes,
doing so much, I mean, the growth from the first time that happens through to like some big role could be astronomically different, like who knows if that
absolutely.
role, if you would have been able to nail it as well as you did, if these four movies that didn't get made, if you hadn't been able to do that. So yeah.
1000%. I absolutely, and I believe in like destiny and fate. And I
Yeah.
think that like, I don't think that it was destiny for those bad things to happen, but I
Right.
think, in the end, it was like destiny for me to have, those opportunities to meet those people and do the work in the
Hmm.
ways that, were available. And I love listening to interviews with Ethan Hawke. He always
Yeah.
like is just so eloquent in the way that he talks about the work. And
Hmm.
he was talking about, he recently did a documentary on, oh my gosh, now I'm just like literally blanking on their names. It's called The Last Movie Stars, and it's about this married couple. Cool Hand Luke, what's his name?
Yes. Uh,
Um,
p I can like picture him.
well, we can look it up. I
Okay.
can start that later. But
Yes.
the point that he was making is that so the husband was a lot more successful and well known, but they both really just like the when it came down to it, the most important thing to them was just getting to do the work itself, whether
Hmm.
it was just working on a monologue alone in like their basement, or on Broadway or in a film. And what Ethan Hawke kind of summarized it as that if you really want to you know see your work make a difference as an artist, just start diminishing the half truths in yourself,
Hmm.
and that's the whole game. And
Yep.
I think that that's such a great way to kind of summarize the work, because that's why we pay money to go to see a movie, because we get to
Yes.
see everybody's putting on a facade all the time,
Hmm.
but in the movies you get to see a real human being.
Hmm.
And getting to that place of truth, I think it's a I think a healing experience for the actors, but
Oh yeah.
then also for the viewer, whether it's
Yeah.
a silly comedy or a dramatic war film. I think
Yeah.
that it all has its place in showing the human experience, and I think it makes us all a little bit more peaceful. And
Hmm.
Well
yeah,
then,
yeah.
I
100%. Yeah.
I do have the question for you then. One of our questions is if you could tell your younger self something, what would it be and why?
I was thinking about this and sent over the questions, and I think that the biggest thing I would have told my younger self is that you're going to need to live a lot of life before you're able to really do the work
Mhm.
and you have enough time.
Mhm.
That it's a myth that you need to hit a certain milestone by a certain time,
Mm,
and that if you really want to be able to tell those true stories, you have to live them yourself. And I think that, having that grace for, myself even today, it's super important to kind of keep that mindset that it's so easy to think like, okay, like what's the next thing? Like, where am I going from here?
Mhm.
And instead, you know, saying like, okay, well, I've been put in this place and time for this specific purpose. I don't know exactly what that is, but I am here right now. And don't let that pass you by. So I think it's so easy to just like keep looking. And I mean, whenever I hear people talk about their, success stories, they really look back on like that messy middle period
Mhm.
where you were hustling and you're working so hard and you're getting so many no's and there's so many doors that are being closed. But like that's
yeah.
the stuff that really makes you.
Mhm.
And that's the stuff that you're going to be proud of when you're
Yes.
on the other side.
Mm.
That's where the growth happens. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Oh my goodness. Um, okay. I want to ask some fun questions that I always just am very curious to hear other like actors and filmmakers' opinions on. Um,
Yeah.
favorite actor, actress,
Um,
or
I feel
plural?
like it I feel like it changes, but I feel
Mhm.
like if
Yeah.
I was just going to say like one, I I really discovered her during the pandemic. So kind of like as I was kind of rediscovering myself as an actor.
Mhm.
And she's kind of like grown exponentially since then. And funny enough, I discovered her through a podcast. I was listening to Mark Maron,
Yeah.
his podcast. He
Yep.
does such a great job of getting people to really open up. And I was
Mhm.
just
Mhm.
really interested to just hear people talk about their process as I was kind of rediscovering mine.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And he gives this great interview with Natasha Leone where she talks about
Mm.
her whole story. Where I mean, she was this child actress and had a lot of like success and a meteoric rise, and then completely lost everything. I mean, she was literally living in the tent in Los Angeles
Oh
and
God.
Wow.
was
I didn't know that.
Oh.
yes, and she, was like turning tricks on Santa Monica Boulevard. I mean, she is like,
Hmm.
she lived it and
Wow.
completely fell off the grid. She ended up having a choice to either basically um, evade uh, being arrested or going to treatment out of
Hmm.
state. So she ended up going out of state to get treatment. And that's kind of where everything turned around for her, where
Wow.
she, yeah, got completely clean. And then she had somebody take a chance on her when she
Mm.
moved back to New York. She got a role in this play put on by the New Group that
Mhm.
was she was playing against Ethan Hawke, and
Wow.
um, it was like she just kind of had to rebuild her whole life after already having the success and
Yeah.
then losing everything, and then really finding herself, I think, truly. And then at the time of the podcast, she had just landed the role on Orange is the New Black. So it was kind of like an
Oh,
old podcast. So like Mark
yeah.
Maron is like, oh, good luck with that. I hope that's a good show. She's like, I don't feel good about it. I think it's gonna be good.
Hope that
And
works
And
out
and
for
now we
her.
now,
know.
yes, yes. And then I really took a deep dive into her like show Russian Doll. Have you
Oh
seen that
yeah.
Hmm.
on
Not
Netflix?
yet.
I saw the
No.
Yeah,
first season.
I
Then it was
okay,
like,
yeah,
is there a second season? And then it was like,
yes,
yeah, faded into
yeah.
yeah,
Obscurity, yeah,
obscurity.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, that really was a great way for me to see kind of I think that women get to a certain age as actors and there's a lot less roles for them. And that was a
Hmm.
big question for me, just,
Mm.
returning to my craft sort of like, well, time is ticking. And
Hmm.
you feel like that as a woman. And I think being able to see roles that were really interesting by women who are like 10 years older than me was really encouraging to say, okay, they are doing work that I'm really interested in. I can see myself in work like this. And being able to point to those types of things, I think, is really important too. And that's
Hmm.
why more of it needs to be made because I
Mhm.
feel like there's, few and far between for female. I mean, there's more now, but like female
Right.
driven roles
Yeah.
in work in general, I feel like we need more of it. We need more women writers. We need more directors, and
Hmm.
we just tell. I mean, women have really complex and interesting stories. They are not just
Yes.
you know there to make you a sandwich and
Yep.
cry.
Yep.
um, yeah. So I would say definitely Natasha Leone.
Huh. Yeah.
And Britt Marling, like I would always say
Oh,
Natasha Leone and Britt Marling because they
yes.
both kind of have like Natasha Leone has like the more like grittier side, like a little bit more comedic,
Yeah.
Hmm.
and then Britt Marling loves to explore these like really
Oh,
strange realities that are
yes.
also like very like relevant, and I think that sometimes that sort of like it's not quite sci-fi, but it's like hyper,
Yeah.
realism.
Yeah.
Um,
Like Another
does a great
Earth, and then
the
the last one on
OA.
Hulu. Oh yeah, yeah,
Oh,
that and
yes, yeah. And then Murder at the End of the World and
yeah, right. Yep.
all of that. I think that it does such a good job. Like if you create this sort of like, strange like sci-fi dynamic in a very like realistic setting, it helps you to kind of see things in the world that relate in a way that you might not have recognized
Yeah.
without like having kind of the otherworldly nature.
Hmm.
Yeah, Britt Marling actually talked about that a little bit about how a lot of the first female novelists wrote science fiction um,
Hmm.
because it's sort of like she said that it kind of was like a feminist sort of like a subversive feminist like act to you know bring a female to the center in a world that seems so out of this world like you
Hmm.
yeah I mean she says
Yeah.
it a lot more eloquently than I am
Sure,
right now
sure.
but
Right.
I
Like
I
Definitely
yeah
yeah.
so I really love those types of stories that kind of like take you out of your this everyday experience, but really is very grounded in
Hmm.
reality at the same time. And I feel like
Yeah,
both their performances always kind of land somewhere in that vein.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Have you seen, I think it came out a couple of years ago. Time doesn't really make sense anymore, but so it might be sooner or later. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Natasha Lyonne, Carrie Coon, and Elizabeth Olsen,
His three
his
daughters.
three
I haven't
daughters.
yeah, I haven't seen it, but I've listened to like all of their interviews
Yes.
about it. So I feel like I
Um,
know what it's about.
yes, it's
Yeah.
I mean, their performances, it's fully, I mean, there's only the two male there's two male characters, but it is like a female centric. It's those three, and
Yeah.
all of their
Yeah.
performances are amazing. And she is Natasha Lyonne is just unbelievable.
Incredible. I
Um,
couldn't believe that she kind of got snubbed for all the awards, but don't get me
right.
started on all that because I feel like I don't
Yeah.
know. The awards are weird this season, and
I'm
I
with
mean,
you. Every year we
no
do
comment. Yeah,
yeah, every year we do
yeah,
podcasts about like the award shows, and every year I
yeah,
get to have a rant about that. And so it's yeah. I'm
yes,
like this
yeah,
movie
it's like
and this
every other
movie and this
year
person.
it actually works
yes,
out, and then
yeah.
Yeah.
The only time I was just like totally behind it was like when everywhere, everything all at once,
Yes.
like when everything I
Yep.
was like, well deserved. Like we
Yes.
needed that story. I don't think the world would have accepted it in another like
Uh-huh.
timeline. It was supposed to happen in this like
Yes.
weird, strange world that we're all living in. And
It was
yeah,
perfect.
that so
Yeah.
like you can't make that film again, which is great. Like let's
Hmm.
make films that you can't remake. Like that's what we
Yes.
need. Need more of
Absolutely.
those. Yeah.
you mentioned Ethan Hawke a bit too. I just have to ask, did you
Yeah.
see Predestination? Or I think that's what it was. Is that right?
Oh, I don't know. I his film that I always really point to is
Yeah,
First Reformed.
First
That
Reformed.
was
That sounds
came out
familiar.
in 2018,
Hmm.
and
Okay.
um, it's Paul Schrader, who's kind of being canceled right now, but
Hmm. Yeah.
good director, good writer. But yeah,
Okay.
I love that performance is if I was going to recommend any actor to study any performance, what he does to draw you into his very isolated world in that film is just absolutely incredible. And
I
Hmm.
I feel like
yeah,
this might be either on my watch list somewhere or
yeah,
Probably.
yes,
something, or maybe I
yeah.
did
Yeah.
see it. I just I'll
It's
have to
hard. It's
look.
a hard watch. Like it's
Okay,
not like
okay.
you gotta have like some time to really think and
Hmm.
feel like
I'll
if
watch
you're
that. You
looking
watch
I'm always looking for something kind of
Predestination.
like fun. Yeah,
Right.
predestination. Yeah. Yeah.
Sarah Snook is in
That
that, who is now in
oh
The
Hmm.
Picture of
okay.
Dorian Gray on Broadway, and then
Yes.
was
Oh,
in
and
Succession. So,
Succession. Yeah.
yep,
Very
Yes.
cool.
She's incredible.
yeah.
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 I just saw a
Yeah.
fun clip of Ethan Hawke talking about like he was being asked to, is there a role that you ever turned down or
Hmm.
didn't get that you regret or whatever? And apparently he was like offered the role, Will Smith's role in Independence Day, And he
I've heard
said
this.
he
That's
was
so wild to me.
yeah, he's like, yeah, I got the script. I was looking at it. He's like, there's no way this is gonna get made. This is a joke of a film. No one's gonna see this. Everyone's gonna laugh it out of the theater. And he throws it out the window on the
Yeah.
highway. And then cut to it comes out, and he's like, his kids are like, oh my God, we gotta go see it. I really want to go see it. He's like,
Oh my
yeah, sure, why
word.
not? Expecting to like go in and no one's
Just
gonna be
like
there. It's
hate it.
packed.
Yeah.
And then he's waiting for a specific line that he read because he's like, there's no way to make that. Like, this is the dumbest line ever
Oh,
written. And it
isn't that
hits
that's
and it
amazing?
crushes. And he's like, I think I made a mistake. I'm like, that's
Yep.
amazing.
Which role or
Yeah.
line?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It was so funny though. Just the way that he was like, oh,
Who?
oops.
So he was supposed to be
It's
Will Smith's character
Yeah,
or something?
which I
yeah,
can't
which is
Huh.
so
see.
wild because they're so
Yeah,
different that
so
I just
different.
have a hard time
Yeah.
imagining. But
So like
I
it
mean, there's an
obviously,
example that it was meant to be that,
yeah.
Right.
yeah, because,
Thank God they
but
passed.
I
These
know,
people,
yeah,
right? And then same with
yeah.
Will Smith in The Matrix, right? So it was like
Yeah,
Mm.
the same
everyone
sort of
has
thing where
something
it's
like
like,
that.
oh, I don't see this working out or something, and
Yeah,
it
I
works
mean,
out for
that's like,
Kiana.
yeah.
and
It's
everything in
just
this industry is just so subjective. I think that,
hmm
you know, I'm always so impressed with actors who can elevate something that
Yeah.
on the page I have a really hard time like not being judgmental of writing. I think I just like as somebody who like aspires to write, I think it's easy. Even as like a young kid, I would always like
Yeah.
rewrite lines in my head.
Yeah.
I would
Mm.
hmm
like hear a scene, I was like, no, they should have said this. Like just like automatically. Like I wasn't
Yeah.
really considering why I was doing that. But yeah, I'm always so impressed with actors who can take something and just make it work.
Yes.
Like I'm not somebody who like I don't mean to disparage this whole,
Go,
group
go,
of
go, 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 go,
movies,
go.
but I've never really connected with Marvel films except for
hmm
the WandaVision that was on
Oh yeah.
Oh
that
yeah.
I think just because of all like the film nostalgia, I was like, I can get
Yeah.
behind this. This is really interesting. I don't have to
Yeah.
know anything about like all the different like
Right.
worlds.
Right, right.
But I saw Thunderbolts last night and
Oh
I was like, wait, this is good. Like I was
yeah.
amazed with like Florence Pugh's performance and
She's incredible
yeah,
though.
she's incredible. Yeah. I mean, just
Yeah. In everything. And she said that
absolutely.
like this role, I haven't seen it yet. I'm actually taking my dad next weekend for his birthday to
Okay.
see it.
Yeah.
And but she said in a few interviews that like doing this role like like taught her how to like admit and accept that she's not doing okay.
Oh,
And really like
that
think
comes through
about
in
and
your
attend her
performance.
mental health because she's like the character's not. And that made me
Yes.
realize it's okay to not be okay and to say that and to like do something about it. And I was like, that's amazing.
Yes.
Hmm.
And
I was
yeah,
really surprised. I had very low expectations and I was walked away being very pleasantly surprised of her performance and
yeah,
I feel like the writing and honestly
yeah.
I haven't seen a lot of the Marvel movies so I
Right.
shouldn't be like disparaging them
I mean,
but
my investment
Yeah.
dropped after like Endgame, pretty much. Yeah. So it's like
okay,
I
I think a
understand.
lot of people said, so that
yeah,
makes sense. Plus it's a lot of that whole kind of pattern.
understanding all
So
the different worlds which
yeah.
like oddly though like I like that the whole like
Yeah.
world jumping thing
The
is always like
universe is
interesting
built
to
out. You
me.
can, yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean like that's like Russian Doll is really that kind of
Yeah.
concept where they have like the multiverse and different timelines and
Right, right,
I
right.
mean
hmm
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind has always been one of
Oh,
my absolute favorite films, which
yes.
I've never seen it in theater,
Mm-mm.
and they're actually showing it at the Dinah Theater this
What?
week. So I'm gonna go see it because
Really?
yeah, such a fan. But that was
Yeah.
probably one of the films that made me like want to be a filmmaker. Just
Yeah.
I felt like, okay, whatever this is describing my experience. I feel like
hmm
kind of that like weird dream. I've always had really
Yeah.
like vivid dreams, and I love stories that kind of explore those different realities. And
hmm
take me to some, place that doesn't really exist and
Yeah.
help me, yeah, understand what actually does exist. Yeah. But
Hmm.
anyways, I digress.
No, that's great.
No, I think it's
Yeah.
amazing. Um, okay. So what is going on for you like right now or coming up that you're excited about?
Well, I'm really excited about this project that we just hopefully did our last reshoot on Monday. I was in New York. I literally flew out there Monday morning. We were shooting all day Monday, and then I slept at TWA, which is the coolest hotel ever. Do you guys know about this
Ooh.
place? It's
Uh-uh.
Mm.
connected to it's connected to the JFK airport, and they
Okay.
actually shot some of Catch Me If You Can there
Oh,
because it's
Ooh.
like
right. Yeah, I saw that
yeah,
story. Okay.
it looks like all period. Like everything is like 19 like
Where he,
50s, 60s,
Tom
70s
Hanks
and
catches up with him in the
Wow.
hallway and he's like, no one's
yeah,
chasing you. Yeah, that part.
yeah,
Amazing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm pretty excited about that project that is coming together. It was written and directed by Nicholas Goodwin, who's done a lot of work with Netflix, and currently he's producing Full Swing, which is like
Oh
the
yeah.
um,
Some golf
yeah, a really, really popular
thing.
golf documentary that I know
Yeah.
nothing about, but he's working very hard on. And
Mhm.
this is his like narrative film debut. So
Very cool.
yeah, I feel pretty excited about it. It was just like a pleasure to work on. The whole crew and cast is just amazing, and to have such a positive experience on it. It still was an independent set, even though
Yeah.
they work with a lot of studios. That was just fantastic, and it shares a story of a kind of unique experience because it's based in Beach Haven, New Jersey, which is
Hmm.
a small beach town that feels almost like North Shore meets the Northeast, if that
Hmm.
makes sense. Like
Yeah.
I just had never been to that part of the country before, so that
Hmm.
was
Hmm.
really neat. And it's a vacation town, so throughout the year, basically like a ghost town. And the people who live there, it's like a very small community. And they turn off all of the traffic lights, like they just blink yellow because there's like hardly any
Wow.
traffic. And
Hmm.
so it's a
Wow.
very small town experience. And then during the summers, they have this like it's crazy how many people are there, and it takes like 45 minutes to drive 2 miles because of all the traffic. And um, yeah, so it was following the story of growing up in this town because that's partially where the director grew up and
Hmm.
sort of that unique experience and being able to tell a story like that hasn't been shared before was pretty neat and feel excited about the work that we did and yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see what happens with it. But other than that, Solitude is now out
Yes.
anywhere that you stream, basically.
Yeah.
So Apple and Prime, Google Play, all the things. You can look it up. That has been a long time coming. We shot that
Hmm.
in the end of 2023. So, I mean,
Okay.
I guess it feels like a long time,
That's
but
actually pretty quick. Yeah, for
yeah,
it to
it
go
is
to the
actually.
festival last year. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they worked really hard to get that out, and the whole team, Jeremy and Dalton, they just like hustled to do the editing and worked really hard to get it in front of different people for distribution. Because when they
Hmm.
Oh,
first
good.
started developing this film, it was sort of like a gold rush for like content. Like just streaming
Right.
services were buying things left and right. And so I think they kind of saw this as an opportunity to like,
Yeah.
get something out there that didn't have to be, controlled by the big studios, but then like reach a large group of people. And then, we had the pandemic, they shut down their production, then there was, multiple strikes and
Yeah.
some pretty big
Hmm.
changes with the studios and how streamers purchase
Yeah.
things. So they, I mean, just like hats off to them for like not giving up and taking all the meetings and just working as hard as they did to get it distributed. And now
Hmm.
it's out there for the whole world to see.
Oh,
So you said it's thriller. Is it scary? Like if
I
I'm if I'm like,
I was terrified.
Yeah.
I literally
okay,
was. I'm not even
Well,
joking. I
at,
think, yeah. Oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead, go ahead.
Yeah,
You
you've
know,
seen
you.
it. No, I want to hear you describe it. Yeah.
No, no. I was just gonna say that, like, well, I watch horror, so it's kind of not
Yes.
a big deal for me. So
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
my
Yeah. Yeah.
my
Yes.
bell curve is a little different than Rahana's.
Yeah.
But I gotta imagine it was scary for you just because it's you all the time. It's like the at least
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know, 80-90% of the film is you
Mhm.
Yeah.
in front of
That's
the
what I said.
camera, just you.
It was it was definitely an experience where I felt extremely vulnerable. I think it was such a
Mhm.
gift for me as an actor to just be able to like let go of any sort of like vanity because I'm supposed to look absolutely horrible just because I'm like, wasting away in the woods. And
Yeah.
um,
Mhm.
I think like for a woman to get to play that type of role is really rare, where I just got
Mhm.
to just kind of expose my humanity. I feel like I was able to process this. We've all been through a lot. The world has been through a lot in the last few
Yeah.
years. And so when I was just like screaming and bellowing as loud as I could in the woods, it's
Oh,
like,
I couldn't
that's
believe.
from a real
Yeah.
place.
Kind of
Oh yeah.
therapeutic. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
But I will say that I did learn a lot about just my process as an actor, where
Mhm.
I think that method acting gets like a bad rap because it gives people just like an excuse to behave badly on set
Yeah.
and
Mm.
or put a lot of work on other people to only talk to them in character. And um, but what I've found is that, you know, for me, I definitely am a method actor, but it comes from a place of, when I get a role, I read the script, listen to it as much as I can, and just find that person and
Mhm.
listen to them. And then by the time we're rolling, it's become kind of just like second nature, so that it's more from like a place of empathy.
Yeah.
But what I realize is
Yeah.
that some of that is a little like subconscious, and it's sometimes just a reality of the work is that you begin to like kind of feel. I feel like, can you guys hear the
Yeah.
music? It just got really loud. But
Funny.
I feel like I started to understand that the empathy that I had for my characters would cause me to have like an actual like emotional experience.
Yeah.
And I think because we were in the dark in the woods, I was literally I did have like some like residual like effects of trauma after the
Oh no.
shoot. But
Yeah.
there was one like moment in particular where I kind of said, okay, I do need to like protect myself as an actor and just like have a way to process after you take yourself to a place that's like,
Mhm.
because your body doesn't know that you're acting. So you're
No.
going to, your heart rate is going to be elevated, your blood pressure is going to go up, you're going to, develop some physical manifestations of what you're
Mhm.
bringing yourself into emotionally. And there was a scene where I literally thought that maybe I broke my brain afterwards because
Mhm.
I had I got to this place where I couldn't drive home. I was so like unable to like catch a breath or like focus on anything. And so something about the character is that she has asthma.
Mhm.
I don't have asthma. I had it when I was a
Yeah.
child, like, and
Oh.
you can grow out of it.
Yep.
But I had an asthma attack.
Oh
And
my gosh.
Larry, who was, he was in the film, he was actually one of the contestants on the actual show alone. And so he was there as like
Oh
kind of
wow.
like the medic supervisor and kept asking me, do you have a condition? Like, I just remember him asking me that. And I was like, I don't know how to answer this. Like,
Wow.
I mean, I have anxiety, but
Right.
um, yeah, and then so I actually had to spend the night on set because I couldn't drive home. And
Wow.
so I stayed. We were shooting on Larry's property, so I just his wife and him were kind enough to let me just like stay in their guest room. So they're like, you're just not in a state to drive. I was driving like
Yeah.
an hour and 10 minutes out to the location every day, and so I just wasn't in a place to be able to drive me home.
Yeah.
myself
Right.
home safely, and so they let me stay the night.
Yeah.
And like, I was like Googling and like actors who like caused themselves like long-term like residual trauma from roles. And I
Oh,
did, come across like Shelley Duvall. She had
Yep.
like quite an
Yeah.
experience like working on The Shining where she was like losing her hair. And so I think that for me, I really learned that it's important to take care of yourself when
Hmm.
you're acting, and to just give yourself, all the support that you need so that you can go to those places.
right.
And yeah, I mean, the next day when we were shooting, this is making me sound like I'm just crazy, but I think that I had gotten to like such a place of like trying to like be this character, and I'd spent so much time with her
Yeah.
that we were shooting the scene where she, at the end when she's like about to drive away, and in the original script she was supposed to like, I'm gonna, not say the thing, but she's supposed to see the thing one last time. And we were just like setting up the scene, and like I was kind of still like, I mean, I had completely blown out my voice, like I couldn't speak because I
Ooh.
had just been like screaming like the night before. And
Yeah.
was like, I mean, I was in the States.
Hmm.
um and so I was just like trying to be calm and like not, I'm like, okay, I'm with like people who are like not scared at all, like this is like just Minnesota woods, like there is
Yep.
nothing wrong here. Like just like trying to calm myself. And I like put my hands on the wheel and I looked over, and I don't know how else to explain it, but I saw something that was like probably like two heads taller than what a normal human being would look like. And I literally jumped out of the car and then was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so sorry. Like, I must be seeing things. Like, and Blair, our
Oh
AD, he's
no.
like, okay, is she like, okay, is she like losing her mind actually?
Oh no.
So that was, yeah, that was quite an experience. So I hope that it comes through in the
Yeah.
film. It was, I think the main thing about the role that I really feel like I connected with right away is that she's kind of like, it's kind of metaphorical. She's working through her own like inner demons and trying to, understand her past and working
Mhm.
through, what it means to be, you know, a woman in the world as a mom, working in the industry. And there's like a lot of things that I could identify with for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that her turmoil was definitely coming from a place of empathy that I didn't know really was possible as an actor. But I feel like that's for me is like what method acting I think is,
Yeah.
Mm.
where you're able to get to that place where you really can feel it and sense it. And then it's so important to be able to then like step away and
Mhm.
not be that, you know, and
Yeah.
not invite that in, because it's,
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, you're
Yes.
you're a human being and you're portraying a
Hmm.
human experience. So it's important to, create those delineations. And I think in the end, having the car ride home after set was kind of a good like detoxing
Yeah.
place for me.
Yeah.
um, there was one funny thing that happened. So I would always be driving home like in the middle of the night, like 2 a.m. trying to get home. And I would be in my effects makeup, just looking like complete state. And I was driving really fast. And I drove past a cop car and I was like, oh no. And then sure enough, like the lights come on. And so he pulls me over. And I'm like, I am so sorry. First of all, I'm a normal person. Like I'm wearing makeup. We were shooting a film, and I'm just trying to get home. And he's like, "Oh, we can't." He's like, "The sheriff. They came to your set because they heard the screaming." And I was like,
Oh,
"Yeah,
Oh my
they
God.
yeah,
did.
they did." And he's like, "Okay, well, just drive a little slower and like take
Wow.
care." So I didn't get the ticket,
Oh
but
man,
like
that's
then I drove
good.
slower.
What
Yeah.
a
But
story.
yeah,
I'm
The
sure he's like,
sheriff
if
heard your
she's having to
screaming.
scream like this, and this
yes,
is what she has to look like on screen, I'm sure she's going
yes,
through it on this film set. So
yes,
just please get home.
Please
Like,
alert
yeah,
local law enforcement of what you're doing
oh,
and when and where in the future.
that's
yes.
crazy though. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Well, they did alert the local law enforcement and like had them like say like you're gonna be hearing things, but
Oh,
apparently
yeah.
there was one night that somebody got worried about
Oh,
a
okay.
woman in the woods
Which,
and
I mean, it's
yeah.
probably
Yeah.
for the, yeah,
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that somebody called. I mean, if
yeah,
I
way
would
Yeah.
have thought of
better
that and I
than,
didn't call, like
right.
yeah, exactly.
Be like, oh,
So
some woman screaming in the woods again. Just
There
like,
goes that
no,
movie
again,
definitely
again.
yes,
glad.
Yeah,
Right.
no,
yeah,
it's
Definitely
like
glad that
yeah.
they, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I felt
they're
proud of
filming
myself.
another movie.
I guess it convinced somebody. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Enough
Yeah.
to, yeah. And we got like a photo with the sheriff and the deputy.
Oh,
A
funny.
photo with
It
the
was
sheriff.
fun.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
That's
Yep.
awesome.
Yep.
Oh,
I
Yep.
love it. Well, I think I'm
well,
gonna give that movie a shot. I don't
Yes.
I've
Yeah.
seen like three scary movies and I don't do super great with them, but I
Yeah.
it
It's not
sounds
gory. I will say
okay.
that.
Okay.
And I think that
That's good.
the cover can be kind of misleading, but
yeah.
yeah, it's there isn't any because I'm the same way, and I also
Yeah.
like kind of have like a problem with like like violence towards women that happens a lot
Yeah.
in like slasher
Yep.
films. Like it's like why is this entertaining?
Yeah.
Um, so it doesn't have that element. It's much
Okay.
more of a if you've seen like Secret Window, I feel like
Mhm.
that is about as like scary as it feels, where
Okay.
it's
hmm
much more like
hmm
of an internal struggle and
Yeah.
um
Yeah,
kind
that
of like
was,
the unknown is
Yeah.
more of the the thing that you're thinking about
right.
versus
Okay.
seeing like something
Yeah.
jumping out at you or
Okay.
Yeah.
gory. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's
Then
exciting. I'm
that's
excited
definitely
too.
yeah,
Excited
so good.
to
Well, I'm
watch
glad.
that.
Yeah, you'll have to let me know your thoughts. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Alan, you were about to ask something. I'm
Yes,
sorry,
I
I
was
jumped
just gonna
in.
say something like when you talked about like having like residual trauma and things on set and having to come out of it, a character in general, especially one that you're
Hmm.
portraying for so long. How many days was filming, first of all, for you?
It was only 13 days. Can you believe it? We did
That's a
that.
lot,
I mean,
yes. That
yeah,
still, that's
yeah,
Especially for like
yeah.
traumatic stuff, like
And
doing
they
it
were
that
long days.
much.
long
Yeah,
days.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
that's a
Long,
lot.
long days and a lot of night shoots. And
Mm.
I'm alone for most of it. I mean, some of those night
Right.
shoots, I would just like get this like
Wow, wow.
pit in my stomach where like when I had to go into the cabin that she
Yeah,
built, I just was like, I can't go in there. Like, I hate that place. It's so scary in there. And which is funny, then like by the end, it felt like this like place of refuge.
yeah.
So I hope that that
But
translates in the film too. But
when you
yeah,
talk about that type of trauma, like what I like to tell actors, at least for me, what I try to do. Have you seen the movie Inception? Where they
yeah,
have
yeah,
the
yeah,
totems,
yeah.
Like I say,
Oh
like
yes,
uh, bring something like that or put your
Yeah.
experience into that item, sort of,
that's a
and
good.
then that way you can like leave it as a token of that experience, sort of thing, or something,
Oh,
whatever it
I
is for
love
you.
that.
It would be a way to then you can just leave it there in that thing or whatever.
Hmm.
So
That's funny because like I had like I gotten these like hiking boots that I really loved for the character,
yeah.
and I haven't worn them since. I
Oh,
feel
there
like
you
that's
go.
like so they
That
are
might
just
be your
sitting
totem. Yeah.
away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe yeah, I wasn't thinking about it in that sense, but that I feel like kind of fulfills that. But that's such a great piece of advice. Thank you for that. So
Yeah.
I think that there's
Hmm.
having that kind of like physical representation
Especially
too
if it's a
is
heavy
good.
character or something. Yeah. It
Yes.
definitely
Yeah.
helps to have something to be like,
Kind of
okay.
let go of
Yeah,
and be like,
exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah. Put it
done.
as
Yeah.
And
make it tangible so you can let go of it physically in a sense. So
yeah, I mean,
it's an
because
act of
I was dreaming as the
transferring.
character for like a
Oh,
month
right. I remember. I think you said that
afterwards.
too. Yeah.
And
Wow.
yeah, my husband would like have to wake me up. He's like, "You're okay. You're right here." And I
Oh.
would like, and this used to happen to me when I was like a child, where I'd have like a thing where like I was still sleeping. This is freaky. I was asleep, but my eyes were open, and
Hmm.
it's like I like thought I was still like seeing the dream, and
Yeah.
I remember just like seeing the woods around me, like
Oh, wow.
instead of just like being in my bedroom. So that was, yeah. And I feel like too, coming out of the pandemic, it's such an interesting experience to go into a role like that, where it's such an
Mhm.
isolated role. And
Yeah.
so much of my preparation as an actor too was in isolation as
Hmm.
well. So I'm looking forward to like a more ensemble piece, like in the future. It'd be great to
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
be with more
Yeah.
people.
Come make a short
Yeah.
film with
Kind of
me.
like
I had
a
like
Yes.
little
10
Let's do
upbeat.
actors
it.
in a short film. It's like
Yes. Yeah. I love a good ensemble too. There's this
Yeah.
like so much magic in that, and you get
well,
to learn from other people, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Sam, thank you for joining
Exactly.
us. I do want to ask you, where can people find your work or follow you or support you?
Yeah, well, like I said, you can find Solitude, easiest access is Apple TV or Prime. You can just search
Or
it.
if you have the
And
Blu-ray from
then,
the screening, me.
yes, if you're really lucky enough to get one of the
Just
Blu-rays,
message
you can
Alan.
Yeah,
watch it all the time. And then, yeah, you can follow me on Instagram. Just my full name, Wren Vincent, is my handle, and SamWrenVincent.com. That's where I keep all my materials. So you
great. We'll put
can
it in the
get
show
real.
notes. Yep,
Yeah, yeah. That's where you can find me.
great.
Awesome. I love it. All right. And then final question, the big one. What do you want people to remember most about you?
Oh, I don't think I saw this question. I think about this a lot, just like being like a mom of like what
Hmm.
I want my child to, kind of grow with and remember. And I think that I hope that when I interact with other people, they feel like they felt that they could be like really true to who they are and felt like it was a safe space to feel seen. So I don't know if that's an answer, but
Yeah.
it feels kind of I don't know. I don't want that to sound corny, but it is like really like what I hope is that people feel like they
Mm.
can feel seen and
Mhm.
not be scared to show who they are, and feel respected. And I think
Hmm.
that that's definitely what we need more and more in this world
Yes.
every day, and especially in the work of the entertainment industry.
Hmm.
Let's
Right.
all like laugh together and not like at one another, or, degrading human value. Yeah.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah. Not corny at all. Absolutely like really important. And I don't think there's enough of that. Um,
Yeah. Yes.
and yeah, so I think it's really beautiful. So
Okay.
Okay.
amazing. Thank
Well,
you
thank you
so much,
guys.
Sam, for joining us. This has
Thank
been
you. This
really
was so
fun.
great. Yeah,
Yeah.
this was a fun conversation. I like forgot we were recording it. So,
Right.
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, and to all of our listeners, all of our viewers, thank you for joining us. This has been Film and Beyond. Well done.